While the investigation into the bombings continues, runners who participated try to return to normalcy, including a Grand Island couple who recently returned from Boston.
We're just sitting around enjoying the atmosphere. I mean, there's 25,000 athletes in a compound, just soaking it all in.
Tom Osterberg was gearing up for his third Boston Marathon race while his wife Christine was a spectator. But the finish is nothing like the previous trips.
It's not the memory I wanted.
After more than 4 hours of pounding the pavement, Tom crossed the finish line to accept his medal. 9 days later, the unthinkable happened.
I still remember just the 2 blasts.
We were less than a mile from the finish line, probably about 6 blocks from the finish line, when we heard the blasts.
Because they said there could still be bombs.
From volunteers to runners, thousands started to move frantically.
The police weren't able to tell us anything, but you've got to move on, move on, move on. 2 explosions had occurred at the finish line. Tom says first responders didn't hesitate to act fast.
They ran into that knowing, and they're yelling out, be careful, there could be more bombs, but they didn't stop. They ran in and started pulling people out and getting people out of there. And
after finding out Tom was okay, Christine turned to help others.
There was a woman next to me who I just realized was sobbing and shivering. So I gave her my coat, and I helped her to locate her husband.
And I haven't even seen what the 8-year-old looks like, but it's so wrong, and it's kind of getting hard to talk to about that point, because you're starting to see the people, 130-some injured, and the little boy who died, and now a dad that has to live with. I followed my quest, and I just got to feel guilty about it.
Thousands of miles from Grand Island, the people of Boston made the Osterbergs feel at home.
It was very heartwarming to see that people opened up their lives for those of us who were just lost.
People there were unbelievable, coming up and talking to us and comforting us and apologizing for Bostonians.
Tom is ready to move on, but not before touching base with other Nebraska runners who ran in Boston. That could be the therapy he needs.
I left a message for Stacy. I left a message for Kylie. I don't know if they want to talk about it, but I'd like to talk with other runners that were there and process kind of what went on.
Tom has a few more miles left in his legs and has plans of returning to Boston to cross that finish line for those who lost their lives.
I want to get in shape, though, again, qualify again, and I want to go back, because these guys, they aren't going to win. They can't. Boston's got to survive. We all got to keep pushing forward.
I want to also mention that while they're there, a lot of Nebraskans reaching out, hundreds of text messages to the Osterbergs, as well as the dozens of voicemails they got that people wanted to know they were safe and sound.
Hearing those stories just makes it all so much more real, doesn't it?
It was just unbelievable. We got to thank the Osterbergs. Not an easy thing to do to talk about. It's kind of, they want to move away from it at this point, but it is a little therapy, I think.
Kind of hard to listen to as well.
Yeah.
And you hear the word concussion, and people are jumping all over it.
And rightfully so. According to reports by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, visits for sports-related traumatic brain injuries, including concussions among children and adolescents, have increased by 60% in the last decade.
Even within the Big Ten, we'll be looking at approximately 240 significant head injuries in football alone that occur each year.
That has doctors like Dennis Mulfease searching for answers. Over the last 2 years, he has started the Center for Brain Biology and Behavior at the University of Nebraska.
What's always been missing is the fact that we didn't know what people were like before they had an injury.
But that's starting to change.
For me, it's a dream come true.
Dr. Mulfease, along with some of the best minds in the country, are putting their heads together to form a partnership between the Big Ten Conference and the Ivy League to study the brain.
Really, for the first time ever in the entire world, about how concussions really develop and whether, in fact, we actually really recover from them, to the extent we recover from them, how we can maximize recovery.
Hundreds of athletes from different sports are volunteering to take part in a series of baseline tests on the brain at the start of the season.
It tells you that right now you're standing on a flat, firm surface.
But the research doesn't stop there.
Should they be injured, then we can look at how their brains have changed, how their behavior has changed as a function of those injuries, and then do long-term follow-up. What point do they get back to being normal? Or if they have a second concussion, how does that affect their ability to recover?
Concussions in football may have garnered the most attention. The least he's talked about may be the most dangerous.
The challenge with soccer is that the players don't rotate off the field. So you have an athlete that goes up for a header, or an athlete that bumps heads with an opponent, or an athlete that hits their head when they fall on the ground. And you can see them get up and they're a little bit wobbly, a little bit dazed, but they don't come over to the side.
Field hockey, basketball, not all the damage is just simply due to the brain hitting the inside of the skull. Sometimes that damage is due to stretching connective tissue.
To the fans and players, the scoreboard is the final factor in determining a winner, but the biggest victory may be decided off the field. The athletes taking part in this concussion study will go through 6 different baseline tests before the season. Step 1, balance test.
Dizziness is one of the most common symptoms after a concussion. So what we're looking at is your whole balance system.
So just left foot and then close my eyes.
We're measuring indirectly your center of mass. So overall, how you're supporting your body over your base of support, which are your feet.
Another test is similar to focusing on an eye chart. Instead of multiple letters, we're looking at one letter. Dr. Honecker begins to move my head. She's challenging my inner ear balance. Down.
Now what we're trying to do is, again, determine how small of a target you're able to see accurately with your head in motion. And we're looking at this ratio difference between your head still and your head in motion. And that lets us know how well you're able to use your inner ear balance system.
Doctors want to make sure the athletes are safe with still objects as well as with objects in motion. Next, with these goggles on, how am I able to track the target? Some athletes with brain injury or head trauma may have unsmooth moves in their eyes. Another portion of this groundbreaking study is to put this electronet onto my head, have me do various tests, and then they'll be able to see how my brain reacts on this data computer right here. A device like this for the test costs $6,000 each. Before the start of the test, a certain number of electrodes need to be activated. That's why they continue to damp some water. After the device is on, I will hear a series of tones and need to push a number on a keypad when I hear the high tone. Meanwhile, on the computer, Dr. Mulfis and his staff can tell when sounds occur and when I'm responding. With this information gathered in the study, researchers say new avenues will be opened up in how to study the brain and the effect concussions can have on it.
But it may be possible, if we can get enough information from these research studies, to actually begin to devise ways that can change the way information goes into the brain so that even an injured brain can be able to process it in more of a normal fashion.
Blended. Out for the border here. Let's try a sweet Mexican. Donut.
Fresh mashed potatoes. A generous scoop of our slow roasted beef.
Don't think it's ice cream.
Coat it with our brown gravy. Shredded lettuce, our cheese.
It's the cherry tomato on top that really adds to it.
And that's what we call a hot beef sundae, right there.
Love to eat turkey.
And how long they've been sitting out? They've been cooking for
about 2 hours.
Eat that turkey all night long. Gobble, gobble, goo, and gobble, gobble, giggle. I wish turkey only cost a nickel.
I think it's to say food, definitely the best part of the fair.
Love to eat the turkey at the table.
That has andouille sausage. It's a spicy Cajun sausage.
Oh, that looks really good. Wow.
Specialties. Woo-wee, is that what you'd say down there? You'd say, Los Le Bon Temple.
Have you tried this yet?
No, I heard about it, so we're trying to.
Unbelievable. We need to get some of that cream.
Absolutely, that's fantastic.
Let the good times roll.
I like that. Let them roll. Thank you so much.
Good ear of corn. Not a good food for a first date, but it's delicious.
You ate the corn without me?
Take 4 cookies, we dip them in batter, fry them, and we top them with powdered sugar.
That's why his baby feeds him. He's a loving man.
Went with the Caramel Delight and had to get Girl Scout, the 100th anniversary of the Girl Scouts. And oh man.
That's why his baby's a loving man.
Well, where should we go next? I got an idea. Call me.